right.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to my office.
So shocked.
Shocked?
Yeah.
Why are you shocked?
Because I just joked and said, I know I ain't going to get it because I've not been here. So I was quite surprised when you said it. So when you said to me, congratulations, I was like, oh, thanks. I thought you were talking about, I didn't think you meant today. So, yeah. Surprised.
So, no, so you've not been involved in GTeX for like a couple of years, not been present here. But the reason why the message I want to give to everyone is that once you are a GTeX member, you are a GTeX member.
Yeah.
Whether you are in the room or not. And you showed, with all that happened, I think you gave a lesson to everyone of grit, of courage, of vulnerability. I mean, being to the funeral, being to the book launch, I've seen the journey. So what I wanted to share with you is how was this journey for you?
I mean, aside from the obvious of it being very difficult, I was very clear that I was going to grieve my way. Nobody was going to tell me how to feel, how to express it. And I think I came to that decision very quickly because very quickly other people were trying to tell me how to feel. Now, I was born in Ilford, so I'm British, but I'm Ghanaian. And we have these, traditions and culture, and my husband was from Sierra Leone. And, typically in my culture, the Ghanaian side, you have a 7-day sit down and people come and greet, so they'll give donations for the funeral. The idea is such that, when you do decide that you've got that, monetary support, people come with drinks and, it was very overwhelming. So people come in and every time they come to the house, they ask the question, why are you here? So it's not assumed that you know that somebody's been bereaved. So you're asked, what's your reason for coming? And then they will go through the whole thing of, I heard something and what I heard didn't please me. And therefore I've come to inquire whether it's true. And I don't speak, so the widow doesn't speak. Other people speak on your behalf. So it doesn't tire you out. And if you know what my house was like, I'm talking 7 days a week for a month solid until I, took myself and my children, on a month's break. But it kind of became the foundation of things to come. Don't speak, we will speak on your behalf.
Yeah.
And I'm used to advocating for people.
Yeah.
So if you're going to advocate for me, you better do it properly. And they didn't. And it got to a point where I said, no, this is what I am going to do. And I think that's what saved me, because I didn't have the capacity mentally or emotionally to wear a mask. I just didn't have the capacity. What I was going through, I couldn't mask it.
Yeah.
So to have to now sit there cross-legged and all dignified, and I just wasn't in that space. So what made it easy, I think, was just being myself in every sense of the word.
Were there moments where, you not found, I'm sure you might have moments where you found hard being yourself and do that, but moments where you were like, I just wish, or I could be someone else, or not to be that, because for those of you that don't know Dilys, when she got something to say, she says it, and I'm leaving it that. But starting from running a charity, Who Will Hear My Cry, Lovelde and I were blessed to be the host at one of your charity balls, which was incredible, and which helps
raise awareness on rape, child abuse, and domestic violence.
Rape, child abuse, and domestic violence. So you already got to talk about topics. You got to be an advocate for that. So is there ever a moment where you wish you were not you?
No, and the only reason why I say that, and I had a conversation with a lady who also lost her husband in October, and she's coping really well. And I said this to her, and I've said this to a lot of people. As hard as it is sometimes, no, we go through things not for our benefit, but for the benefit of others coming. So why, those of you that believe in God, I can only speak from my perspective, I do. Therefore, I believe that God will allow you, because he knows you better than you know yourself, that you have the strength within you to take what's coming. Whilst you're in it, you will not see it. But, I mean, last year by this time, I hadn't had my husband's funeral, because the funeral was on the 21st of February. He passed away on the 21st of January. If anybody had told me that I would be here, you know, I actually washed my hair today. I normally have my hair in a ponytail. And with makeup, I didn't comb my hair for a month. The day my husband died until the day of the funeral was the first time a comb went through my head. So we go through things not for our benefit, it's for those coming. And I think for that reason, there's always been such a strong sense of responsibility that it's not about you. Our lives aren't ours. Even in this room, we shared, 5 minutes, literally, of people speaking into our lives. Yeah. We may not put such a high value, but that's what has happened.
Yeah.
So it's not about you. So for me, if not me, who? Who deserved what I went through?
Yeah.
So the short answer is no.
Yeah, no. Because the reason why I asked this, I know it's a bit of a weird question, but the reason why I asked this is because I had a conversation with another GTeX member, Suze, on a podcast that we recorded a couple of days ago. And we were talking about when you have conversations with people, everyone will always share their opinion. Mm-hmm. Everyone will always share, oh, you should do this, you should do that. This is how, this doesn't work for me. And we were talking in the context of business. You have a team, people will tell you, oh no, you shouldn't do this, you should do that. And so when you have so much external input, where do you find your voice? Because sometimes your voice can just be taken by someone else's voice, and where you decide, actually, this is a good advice, or I should just follow something different, even if I know it's not the thing that they want. So we had this conversation, and it was actually one of the most beautiful podcast episodes I've recorded, because we really explored, how do you find your voice? So in this process, when everyone was telling you how you should feel, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, where were you able to find almost like the clarity in the grieving process, like to express your voice?
I think, and I say this often, that I'm just a weird person.
Oh yes, you are.
Very weird.
Totally agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
From childhood, I've always known who I was, even though
from childhood.
From childhood. So even as a small child, at 6, 7, when I wasn't the trendiest, and other kids would bully me. I mean, I was born in 71, so I'm 50 next year, and I was born in Ilford. So, and I never say Ilford. When I say Ilford, when I'm saying it as Ilford, Ilford, I know what it's like to face racism. I know what it's like to, be a child and go to someone's house and say, oh, you've got to go home now because my dad doesn't like black people. I'm serious. Mm-hmm. We get it. And so from a very young age, even then, when some of the kids wouldn't play with me, or I wouldn't get, in fact, I was never invited to a children's party. So I went to live in Ghana at the age of 10 to 17, because I went to school there and then came back. But at that age, I thought, you'd be lucky to be my friend. I don't care if you don't want to play with me. And I would happily play on my own. I really couldn't give a toss, So I have been trained. You see, we go through, if you can find the purpose of why you go through things in life, you dwell there in your pain for a while, but you get up and you keep it moving, because you don't know what you're being allowed to go through to prepare you. So when I went through, as I'm going through this process, because it never really, grief doesn't end. I call it, destination unknown. Mm-hmm. You realize that you have been groomed for a time such as this.
Right.
Does that make sense? So being on my own,
I'm
keep
trying
my
to
own.
I'm trying to understand as much as I can from. So does it make sense logically? Yes.
But having to keep your own counsel.
Yeah.
And I know that some things for me are just divine, because how many 7-year-olds we hear about children committing suicide, and they're not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not better than them. I just had a grace and an understanding that prevented me from making certain decisions. I just didn't care. I always felt that I would be somebody someday. And therefore, if today I'm not that somebody, well, one day I will be somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe today is your time. Like, for example, all the cool kids, all the girls that everyone thought were so cute. Go and look at them now. Like, seriously, And actually, listen, I just keep it real.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, but I was the one whose hair wasn't plaited.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at some of them now and I think, this is why you don't disrespect people. Because it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Absolutely. I think we can
You
just remember this, this is not how you start, it's how you finish. And I can relate to that when I'm not thinking about when I was at school and being bullied at school and being like the fun guy of the class, and teacher saying, oh, you're not gonna do much in life.
That always baffles me when teachers can say that.
Yeah.
How do you like me now, right?
I went back to deliver a course to my old school.
Oh,
So you want me now.
That's brilliant,
So I did it more for sticking it to their ass, not for any other reason.
Yeah.
Just for revenge. It was a sweet day. It was a sweet day.
I can so relate to that.
It was brilliant. So now you decided then to write the book. So you're going through the process. About 6 months, probably 6 months in today.
I had a meeting, about 6 months in, you're right.
After your husband died. And what was in you that said, because you wrote a book before, already best-selling author, and what made you say, actually, now this is the right time? I mean, with all the times that could be in the world, what made you say this is the right time to write a book?
I'll be honest, I don't think I thought about it very well. Okay, so just to put it in context, I faced huge abuse from some of my husband's family. Really nasty. I'm talking within days of me losing my husband. I was being accused of disrespecting the family. Nobody could get hold of me on the phone, and I'm thinking, I'm really going to be sitting there, waiting for the next phone call to offer me, condolences. But what shocked me was the fact that I wasn't special. There were so many other women that had faced this kind of nonsense. Not just African women, not just black women, white women, Asian women. And I was incredulous that at a time like that you actually find it within you to be so spiteful and so wicked to somebody that, is vulnerable. And I think as I started to speak to other people, realizing that this was the order of the day for women that lose their husbands. I think the only exception is that for African women, a man never just dies, you must have killed him. Let's keep it real here. You must have killed him. So I had all of that to deal with.
What?
But
is it a cultural?
I'm Ghanaian. That's the only difference, because I've been in groups with predominantly white women. Yeah. And the treatment has been just as horrible. Where the family just turn on you. Yeah. I don't know how they have the capacity to have any other emotion other than compassion. So, I thought I have to talk about this, because I'm thinking, well, if some of you other women stood up, you'd have given me the heads up. Yeah. I would have expected that this is normal. But I wasn't given the heads up. I thought, well, I'm going to give you guys the heads up. That was the driving force in me deciding to write the book. Mm-hmm. And I was fine up until I had to recount when my husband fell ill. Then the impact of that decision became very real for me. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was ill. Yeah. Literally I had to take a break from writing for I counted it was 9 days, because when I was typing, my body would literally be like this. So I was having a lot of massage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then, that's when I decided to get a counsellor. So I started doing my counselling to give me that extra support.
Yeah.
And then my face broke out. I was getting stomach cramp. I mean, I was ill. I was really ill. And then it just put me in this deep valley of depression, because what I found painful was when my husband fell ill, there was hope. There was expectation. There was faith.
Yeah. It was like, it is going to make it. Like
100%.
Yeah.
So to now know the end of the story was painful, So that really was the reason why I said I need, to write this book. And then I decided to honour my husband. I wanted the book published on the anniversary of his passing, which was 21st of January. So I had this huge pressure. I didn't have any choice but to make sure that book was written and it was, proofread and, So the pressure was really on.
It was.
It was on hardcore.
Because I'm even like, I was at the funeral and I haven't cried. I'm not a person that cries. I never cried, I think, so much in a very long time. And I could feel your pain. I could feel it. And thinking about the strength that you have shown in doing this, like, so you are a person that have an incredible sense of purpose, like a sense of duty for others, because that's what you did. Is like there are a lot of people that are going through this. And can you guys make sure, is she in the camera even in there? Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure. Yeah, no, exactly. I just want to make sure that it is there. So, but you have this deep sense of like purpose and mission to share and to alleviate others' pain. And I think that's also why we are here in this room, because we have a sense of a purpose, we have a sense of a mission. And so I want to ask you now, in terms of when you saw the book published, what was your reaction? Like when you saw that first copy in your hand?
Let me take you to the morning after.
Okay.
Because don't forget, the day it was published was the anniversary of my husband's passing.
Yeah.
And I remember my counsellor was saying that I should expect to fall ill. Not that she was casting a spell on me, but I had been ill. And she was saying, with the anniversary coming up, it's likely that, my immune system's going to go down because of everything that was going on. And she actually did say to me that when you wrote this book, you were so focused on other people. Did you think about yourself? And I said, clearly not. Because I was ill prepared for the impact it was having on me mentally and emotionally. I wasn't prepared at all. So the following morning, being the 22nd of January, I was laying in bed, as you'd expect at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I have this bad habit of always reaching for my phone. And before I reached for the phone, and I kind of knew this is what was going to happen, that I would keep thinking, last year by this time, last year by this time, last year by this time, and I wasn't looking forward. I knew that this was going to be bad. So I reached for my phone, and my publisher had taken a screenshot, because throughout the day on the 21st she'd been saying, oh, it's at number 18 on the hot new release bestsellers list on Amazon, oh, it's gone to number 9, oh, it's gone to number 3. And I was like, oh great, it'd be great if it could get to number 1. And I said, I would feel that the pain was not that it wouldn't have been worth it before, but it would just give me some kind of comfort. So I reached for my phone 6 o'clock in the morning, and I see she sent me a screenshot, and it was number 1 on Amazon's hot new release bestsellers list. And I just went, what? So I woke myself up. And I remember saying, thank you, Lord. You've given me a new memory. I will no longer remember my husband's passing with just pain. And I remember saying to myself that whenever I'm speaking anywhere, I'm going to point this out to people. Find something to pull out of that pain that will give you a new memory.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt. And because of that, and even just something that's just dropped in my spirit right now, that because I wrote this book, I helped create a new memory for myself.
Yes.
I could have, and nobody would have blamed me for remaining in that place. I mean, it had only been months. So nobody would have said, well, actually, some people are that stupid. You know, it's been 48 hours now, you know, move on and get on with your life. And you'll be surprised at what people will say. But it allowed me to pull something out of something so horrible, and turn it into something that's now a legacy. I have immortalized my husband's memory.
Yeah.
And without me realizing, rather than taking a crash, I've actually been quite even.
Mm-hmm.
So today I was going through my phone, I was looking for something, and there's a video of my husband when he fell ill in Portugal, because my husband fell ill on holiday, and you'll have to read the book. And he did a video for Isabel, because she was only 8 at the time. And I actually managed to watch it without crying. Just hearing Eddie's voice, you know. So I know I've come a long way. But yeah, like I said, it's a journey, destination unknown. You just keep moving.
So what's next in your journey?
Oh,
destination is unknown.
Destination is unknown.
What's next in the immediate unknown?
The immediate unknown, because somebody asked me, you know, what's my plans for, I think, and I said, time has a completely different concept to me now. I can never plan like before. I didn't plan to become a widow on the 21st of January 2019, when the night before I was there talking to my husband and telling him, you talk too much, if I follow you, the birds will be singing, I'm going to bed, I have an assignment to do. I wasn't prepared for that. So I think what's next for me is just live in the now. I know that sounds very cliche, but I find it very difficult to answer questions about the future.
Yeah.
Because when you lose somebody that close, you question your own mortality.
Yeah.
And, you know, even just planning to go away, I find myself saying, God willing, God willing, God willing, a lot more than I ever did before. Because I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's my reality now, because it changes you, you know? So what's next? Come to more GTeX meetings. That's a good start.
That's a really good start. And it's great to have you back.
Thank you.
So what we're going to do now, we're going to stop the recording here. So if you're watching in a group or you're watching the recording, thank you for watching. Make sure you connect with Dilys. We're going to put the link of the book, which is Not This Widow, which you can find as well on Amazon. You can find on all different platforms. So make sure you get a copy of the book. If you know someone is going through a tough time, get a copy of the book, give them the book, and then it's going to give them some relief. They can find a lot of stories that will give them strength. They will give them resilience. Yeah.
It's not just about widowhood. It's about finding your voice, as you mentioned, and it's also about tenacity.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about a lot of things. Even preparing, you know, like a lot of us, you know, some of these women who weren't married, who lost their partner and realised that they're not even entitled to go to the funeral if the family don't want them there. Things that we don't talk about. Yeah. You know, so there's a lot of stuff in there.
I can understand. I mean, I've seen what my family did, and it was a different situation. But I've seen what part of my family did actually to my mom when they got separated. And, my mom was just trying to hold everything together, and they were trying to get money out of her that she didn't have.
Yeah.
And like, how?
Oh, I had it all.
Right. So make sure you get the book. It's gonna help if you're having a tough time, or if you know someone is at a tough time, then it's gonna help them. So we're gonna stop the recording here, and then we're gonna start with the Q&A.